Many Excel users are confident in their skills, but Excel's vast functionality means there's often several ways to achieve the same thing, with some being more efficient than others. The good news? With a few quick adjustments, you can streamline your workflow and make Excel work smarter for you. Let's explore some simple changes that can boost your efficiency and accuracy.
First up, if you're wasting time updating formula ranges manually and editing pivot tables because the source data has changed, then you're wasting valuable time that can be eliminated by simply formatting your data in an Excel table using the keyboard shortcut Ctrl-T and then click OK. When your data is in an Excel table like this and your formulas use the table structured references, which consist of the table name and column name, then adding new data will result in the table expanding and the formula automatically updating. And pivot tables can be updated with the click of the refresh button, or if you have multiple pivot tables, then on the data tab, refresh all will refresh them all in one go. And this means you're much less likely to omit new data in your reports and analysis. I often see running total formulas where the formula in the first cell is different to the formula in the following cells. For example, here we take the sales from the current row, and then from then on we take the sales from the current row plus the row above, and so on and so forth. And while this is technically correct and it returns the correct result, it's more work to write, albeit only slightly more. But more importantly, it's not good practice to have a mix of different formulas in a column because we expect to be able to copy a formula down to the remaining rows, so it's risky. Instead, simply use the sum function equals sum, and then take the value from the current row, colon. Now we have the current row to the current row. I'm going to select the first reference and F4 to set that as absolute. That is, it's locked on that first cell. And then the second part of the reference is relative, so that when we double click to copy it down, you can see it increases the range by one row at a time. So essentially we've got a consistent formula in that column, and copying it down isn't going to yield any errors. If you're typing in numbers and maintaining a numbered list manually, instead you can use the sequence function, equals sequence. How many rows? Well, we can use count A to detect how many rows we might need, and the numbered list will update automatically. And I'm going to extend my range down below my current list to allow it to grow as I add more items. So close count A, close sequence, press enter, and we've got 10 items. And if I add another item, let's add one here, it automatically updates. Not only that, if I insert a row and insert another item, you can see it automatically adjusts. So I don't have to maintain this list, it does it on its own. Now, if you wanted an alphanumeric list, for example, we might want to prefix this with A for activity, and then we're going to append it to the number. And let's say we want these numbers to be 2 digits so that they're consistent once they get into the tens. We can wrap it in the text function and then tell it to format it to 2 significant digits, close parentheses, and now we have an alphanumeric list. Now, if you don't have the sequence function, you can generate a series of numbers. Simply type in 1, hold down Control, left click and drag, and you can see the tooltip shows me that it's counting up. You can also create alphanumeric lists this way. Type in the first one, and this time just left click and drag, no need to hold Control, and we have the same alphanumeric list. Of course, this one's manual, so if you insert a row or delete a row, it's going to mess up the numbering. You have to set it up again. Now, if you have a long list of numbers to fill, for example, let's say I want a list from 1 to 100, type in 1, and then on the Home tab, we're going to fill the series, and in the series dialog, I'm going to fill it in a column. I'm going to step in increments of 1, and let's stop at 100, and I'll click OK. And now I have a list of numbers 1 through 100.
By the way, if you're enjoying this and you want to take your Excel skills even further, check out my courses at myonlinetraininghub.com. They're currently 20% off until December 5th. You'll find hands-on lessons designed to make you an absolute Excel pro. Everything from nailing the basics to mastering advanced tricks that'll save you hours. Plus, I personally provide support and mentoring. If that sounds like something you'd love, Check out the courses using the link in the description or pinned comment and take advantage of the limited time offer.
Generating lists of dates is super common, but too often they're typed in manually. Just like listing numbers, we can use the Fill Series tool to generate a list of dates. All you need to do is enter the first date in your series, select the cell on the Home tab. Under the Fill drop-down, we want Series. And here I'm going to fill it down the column, but you could fill it across the row if you needed dates as headers, for example. It's detected that the type is a date, and therefore we can choose from days, weekdays, months, or years. Let's go with weekdays. We're going to step one day at a time, and let's stop at the 31st of October. Now my dates are day, month, year. If yours are month, day, year, then switch the date accordingly. Click OK, and now if we go Control down arrow, you can see the dates end at the 31st of October. Another way you can generate a list of dates is using the date function with sequence. So date, the year is 2024, and I want to start in October, and then I want dates for all of October. So I'm going to use the sequence function to generate 31 numbers, close parentheses on sequence, close on date, press enter, and now I have all the dates for October. Alternatively, if I wanted all the dates for the year, then I could have 366 days, and I want to start in January. Press enter, let's Control down arrow, and there's all the dates down to the 31st of December from the 1st of January. Or maybe you want month end dates. In that case, we can use the end of month function. For the start date, I'll use the date function. 2024 is the year, the month is January, and the day I'm going to start at 0. And then the number of months that I want to move from that date, well, I want a sequence of months, so I'm going to use the sequence function to return 12 months. Close parentheses on both functions, press enter, and there's my month end date from January through to December. And if you want the month start date, then again we can use end of month with the date function. We're going to start in 2023 this time, December and 0 day, close date, and then for the months we're going to use sequence to return 12 months, close parentheses on sequence, close EO month, and then this is going to give me a list of month end dates. All I need to do is add one date to that to get the start of each month for the year 2024. By default, pivot tables group days into months, quarters, and years, and if we go into group, you can see that here, months, quarters, and years. And this is super handy because if we want to go in and right click and let's say expand to months, we can easily see the data at different levels and collapse it as required. But many people don't know that you can also group data into weeks. So they spend time adding a column to their data and then classifying each date into the week number. But it's way easier than that. So let me undo that, and I'll right click and ungroup the dates here. So now I've got a pivot table with my dates and the average score, and I want to group them into weeks. So right click, group. Here instead of months I want days, and the number of days, well, there's 7 days in a week. I'll click OK, and now I have my data grouped into week bands. Of course, if I wanted fortnights, I could go back in and change this to 14 days. And notice that we can also specify a starting and ending date. It just picks up the start and end dates from the data set, but you can make changes there if required. And note, if you have time-based data, we can also group by hours, minutes, and seconds. Let's click OK, and now I have my data in fortnightly bands.
This next one I've mentioned many times before, but I still see people use it, so I'm going to say it again. Merged cells are evil. If you've ever tried sorting or filtering data only to have Excel throw a tantrum, merged cells are probably to blame.
For example, if I want to sum the orders using my mouse, as soon as I get to the first heading, the range turns into a mess. Now, of course, I could hold down Control and select the non-contiguous ranges of cells, but that's just more work than it needs to be. So instead of using merged cells, you can still merge the headings without messing up the columns. If I Control 1 to open the Format Cells dialog box, on the Alignment tab, you can see that this has been centered across selection. I'll click OK, and then let's take a look at how we sum this data. And you can see without any issues, I can easily select that contiguous range of cells, even though my headings appear to be merged. So you can see there's really no need to merge cells. They create more trouble than they're worth. We have a perfectly good alternative in center across selection. I want the headings in these last two columns to be wrapped onto two lines. So we can apply the wrap text format, but you can see it does nothing because there's enough space for the heading on one line. Now the wrong way to handle this is to add a load of spaces in here to force the text to wrap. There's a much easier way. All you need to do is go in, delete the space, and Alt and Enter, and press Enter. And that forces the text onto two lines. Let's fix this one up. We'll delete all those spaces, Alt Enter, and press Enter. We can center those both in the column. All you need to do is make sure wrap text is applied to the cell when you insert the line break with Alt and Enter. And if you look at the formula bar, you can see 2025 in the cell currently. If I Control-Shift-U to expand the formula bar, you can see budget is wrapped down onto the next line. And that'll be the same for 2024 sales.
If you want to take things up a notch and learn how to make your spreadsheets even smarter, check out this next video right here. It's all about 5 Excel tricks that make your spreadsheets self-updating. Honestly, once you see them, you'll wonder how you ever live without them. I'll see you there.